Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Coffee Corner. Today is your 133. I've attempted to film this episode of many times. Finally, I'm sitting down and I want to do something. Usually, when I read a lot, I will have a lot of thoughts going on and want to share. But this time, I feel like when I read, I just tend to keep everything to myself. A couple books have reminded me of human rights or women rights. I feel lucky. I feel like China has gone through a lot wars, civil wars, but we've grown so strong now that people see us and will think about how strong and how powerful China is. Now, some of the countries have gone through a lot and a lot of wars and even similar experience that our country had. But so many years they couldn't figure out the situation, couldn't figure out the system to stand up to fight for their people. They almost feel like they got trapped in that situation that once a leader step up and then the leader will be corrected. All right, I have to stop here for a second. I just want to make it clear the next topic might start the pot a little bit. It could be controversial depending on where you stand. But hey, don't get too worked up. I'm just here to open a conversation and share some thoughts. Okay, so let's get back to the video. And the same situation happens, it repeats, and then you got another revolution and another rebellion, and then they took over the power and was trying to do something good, but then they got corrupted again. It's just those stories, things, and books I've read so far made me realize how great our country is. So, books I've read so far about revolution, about smuggler, about grown up, things like that. First book is The Naked Don't Fear the Water. It's this journalist from Canada following Afghan refugee of their flee journey. This guy is 30 something and he planned to go to either Canada or US, but and then they didn't work because of document problems. And then he tried so many ways to escape and gave up many times. And it wasn't easy. And then it reminded me of my own experience of working with immigrants and refugees. I really want to get to know my learners and I want to know their story, how they got to Canada, how they start to realize they appreciate everything and they want to work hard and build life here. And some of the learners, they have no desire, no drive to succeed or even just have a normal life here. Why do they always wait for things? And some things are given to them for granted and they never appreciate it and then demands more. So I really want to understand how things work behind the scene. But this book it gave me an opportunity to understand how difficult for them to go to another country. Yet I also think about they have money. And you have to pay smugglers to travel to different countries and then eventually get to your destination. But where did the money come from? Because for myself, I didn't come with money. I worked really hard and I had multiple jobs in the very beginning and had my full-time school and then I had to manage everything, juggle between the roles and still manage my life, right? I didn't have money and they had money and then they still get money from the government. Anyway, that's another story. So this book, I really had a mixed feeling about it. I feel empathetic for them because what they had to go through. And I also felt indifferent because I don't understand. If you had to go through the hardship and you would want to work even harder to build your life. But then once you reach your destination and you decide to give up and they say, well, finally I'm in heaven, I don't have to work hard anymore. And I'm just sitting here waiting for people to give me stuff, right? Anyway, so that's one thing. Another thing I couldn't understand, I felt really uncomfortable is this guy, the main character, he fell in love with a girl. In their culture, you're not supposed to date, you're not supposed to, everything is arranged, right? So he fell in love with this girl, which is fine until I learned he is 30 something and the girl was about to turn 18. I can't. Okay. When it comes to women, a lot of things to me felt very intolerable. I don't understand. I feel like for a young girl, fall in love with an older guy, this is not right. I'm not saying that you cannot. I just feel like when you're young, doesn't matter if it's a boy or girl, when you're at the age of 17, 18, enjoy a relationship, but don't fall in love with a guy that you're willing to sacrifice. A lot of time when I see my learners from certain cultures, they're so happy about getting married. Do you even realize what are you signing up for? at that moment. The moment you get married with this guy, you're going to start your giving birth journey and start your housekeeping journey. Like you basically setting up for a position that you become a nanny. I don't know why you're happy. Well, it could be because I'm kind of a pessimist. That's what I'm thinking about this book when it comes to the romantic part. And then it makes me really think about women. It's difficult for me to talk about complicated situations or problems because there's so much going on. I'm just trying to sort out my thoughts. When it comes to women, I find there are a lot of disadvantages. I've watched a lot of shows, read a lot of books, and I realized a lot of things you can do as a guy, but you cannot do it as a woman. Or you can do it, but with more potential danger there. For example, this journalist, I like him. He's won a lot of awards for his articles doing this journalism. And he's gone to Syria, he's gone to Iraq, he's gone to like Afghanistan, those kind of war zones to do amazing reports, to do amazing coverage. But if you think about if he were not a guy, if he were a woman, would he be able to achieve that much without hurting themselves? And I don't want to be extreme about a situation like or start a war between a woman and a guy. But if you think about it, even just thinking about travel alone to a relatively less developed area, uh, as a guy, you go there, the most dangerous thing would be some people hurt you, some people rob you, some people kill you. You may face torture or something else. But for women, there's another layer over that. Your first potential danger will be you might get raped. And you, and so a part of this book, a couple of women tried to. So he briefly mentioned about women trying to go through smuggling route to another country, and the price you have to pay is sex. So not like you're willing to give up, but there you have no power, you have no strength. If guys, doesn't matter if it's smugglers or fellow immigrants, if they're guys and you're a woman, they know you're a woman, right away they turn that mindset on. You just have no power over anything. And some of the female refugees, they would take birth control or did some surgery before they took on the journey because they knew they would face that danger and they didn't want to get pregnant on the way to another country. So how do they protect themselves? They start to do things like that to protect themselves. I feel, don't say something like a women use their identity to take advantage of other people. You just need to show your weakness or do this and that and be a little bit submissive, and then you get what you want. Well, things happen. I'm sure that happens, but most of the time, and for most women, that is actually part of the problem because people take advantage of us, right? And even back to normal life, back to our average life, and then you think if you as a woman and you as a guy, both at age of 30, who has more advantage over who? You wouldn't say the woman. If you go to a job, you go to an interview at the same age, then nobody's going to ask the guy, are you married? Do you have family? And the girl will be questioned in many ways. And they will ask you your past, your future, and your current plans. Why? Why do women have to face those kind of situations or questions at that moment? And then back to even a relationship that if you are you're looking for a date or you're on your way to have a family or anything. So, and then you go on, you have a date that a 30-year-old man would face fewer questions than a 30-year-old woman because it comes down to biological features that while guys can impregnate women at any age, but women cannot. There's a limit for women's body to do that. And even though as a weapon for a woman that you can't say, well, I can be pregnant, but people take advantage of that. People think at a young age, you can give me a better generation, better kids, or you have a better quality of whatever. But for guys, nobody's going to question that. But once a woman start to question the ability of the guy, and then they would think you're too strong, you're too sharp, you're too aggressive. Anyway, so I was thinking about that. And back to my learners, and what makes me, I'm always very gentle but strict with my female learners. I'm happy to see them work really hard and want a job, want a life for themselves. And I always gave a talk to them saying, you have to love yourself and care about yourself first so you can take care of other people. You cannot sacrifice yourself because as you age, you're going to lose ability of your value. So people are going to see you less and less. So how to make yourself visible? You're going to become stronger, more capable, and more useful. It's sad to say that, but I do think that would do you good if you think about that way. And I hate when women, when they come all the way to this liberal country and then all they want is to get married and have kids. Nothing wrong with that option, but to me, I feel like it's such a waste of resources, such a waste of your talent as a woman. Some of women are so smart, yet they didn't realize how to use it properly, how to weaponize that, how to turn it into something powerful. And then they started to hide themselves behind guys and think that would be better for them. I don't know. For how many years are you still seeing yourself that way, or you regretted the decision you made when you were at 20 or 30s? With the guys, I'm very strict with the guys. I think for guys, it's more about taking responsibility and looking less excuses for your actions. I had this guy. It's very funny. He's very smart. He wants to learn, but he always has excuses for his mistakes or for his incapability. When it comes to himself, you give him advice, you give him suggestions, he will be like, well, this is too easy, too difficult, this is too much work, less work. It's the teacher's problem. It's me. I don't have time for it. I don't know, but I only want a result. I can't do it when you only wanted to have a result because I can't give you results. I'm that kind of person. I'm more guide oriented instead of result oriented. So that's just me. When it comes to working or learning in this kind of situation, then I find the disadvantage as a woman that woman has to work really hard to meet guys' expectations or criteria to get married. They always want to marry up, right? And for guys, you just need to be normal, and then you will have women who are way beyond your level, who are way beyond your situation, and yet for guys, you think they could do better, they could find a better woman. I don't understand that part. I have this student, she's so smart, so brilliant, so wise, and her husband, they're newlywed. Her husband, I taught that guy before. That guy, I don't want to bad mouth, but that guy completely doesn't deserve a woman like that. But for this woman, she felt so honored actually to be able to marry to him. I I'm speechless. I don't know what's wrong with this world. So for women to be able to get seen, you have to work extra hard. For guys to be able to marry a woman or to find a girlfriend, you just need to be normal and show a little bit care, and then that's all you need. Anyway, uh, that's when I was reading this book, I got all sorts of thoughts going on to many directions that totally irrelevant and not organized. So this is one thing I wanted to talk about. Another thing is about my swimming, which is really funny. And my swimming reminded me my early days learning English. This fear you just can't overcome, especially when you do it by yourself. I learned swimming many years ago as an adult, and I haven't practiced for a long time. And this summer, finally got some time, and then I've decided to pick it up. And I said I'm gonna go to swim. A couple of things that really bother me is first, it's outdoor swimming pool, and then that means I'll get tan, and then I don't like getting tan. And me struggling between getting tan or going enjoying swimming, what am I gonna do? So finally, wanting to swim has overcome the reluctance of getting tan. So I went swimming. I was so scared every time before I go there, I feel butterflies in my stomach. I get nervous. I had to go to the bathroom and empty all my shit before I go there. And anyway, so the funny thing is once As soon as I touched the water, I started to have the tension in my whole body. I can't relax, but I kept reminding myself that you could remember the videos you watched and remember all the advice you got from your friends. You have to relax and just let it float. And then I start to think when people ask me for advice on speaking, I would say, well, you just got to open your mouth and speak. And now I understand it's easier said than done because I know how to speak now. So my advice to beginners or amateurs will be just go and speak and then you will get better because it takes time. And now when people tell me to me about how to get better at swimming, they say you just gotta relax and flow and then do it. I just couldn't get it. I couldn't wrap my head around it. How am I gonna just relax in the water when I'm so scared of water? And one thing I realized learning a language or learning swimming, it's no longer about ability anymore. It's about mentality, psychological stuff that you have to trust yourself and you have to trust the water. You have to trust the language and you have to trust yourself. For me, when it comes to swimming, now I'm kind of slightly getting it is I dive in the water, I merge myself underwater and I would say, don't think you're underwater. Just think about what you're doing. What am I doing? I'm bobbing. I'll be fine. And don't worry about what other people think. First swimming I had this summer, I dove in. Now I didn't. I started to swim just in a shallow end because I was so scared. And as soon as I started, the lifeguard would follow me slowly. And as soon as I stopped, and she would stop too, it makes me even more nervous and awkward because I'm sure in her mind, she was like, oh, what the heck is this woman doing here? Or is she trying to drown herself? I was worried about water, myself, and what other people think. And all the things come down me heavily. And no wonder I couldn't relax. And then I realized if I forget about what other people think about me and only focus on overcoming the fear of water, am I going to do a little bit better? And I don't like, so the funny thing is I don't like it when I'm the only swimmer at the swimming pool because that pressure is on from the lifeguard. So she's basically, or he's basically just watching me doing those dumb, clumsy moves. Anyway, it took me a while to realize once you are into the learning process, once you are really focused on what you can do, or focus on the joy of the process and you start to forget about what other people think. Now you realize nobody cares about you. The lifeguard is there because she wants to make sure you're safe. And other people swimming, they really don't give damn shit about what you are doing there at all because they spend money. They want to come here and enjoy their swimming and make it worth the money. And come back to speaking, that some people are afraid of public speaking. Some people are even afraid of just opening their mouths and talking even a word. Uh, Nobody cares. Even if somebody says something to you, say, hey, look at your pronunciation, look at your grammar, look at your vocabulary, things like that. You have to, okay, this is, again, easier said than done, but you have to try it for yourself. Just say, I am going to do this. If I can't do this in front of other people, or I can't communicate or have a chat with other people yet, I'm going to do that by myself. I will practice at home and try to perfection it as much as possible so I can use it and practice it next time when I see someone in real life. But if you don't even want to practice first and you're so worried about the consequences or the results, outcomes you're going to get, then you'll never take a first step, right? You never take the first step and you're never going to move forward because there's never steps forward. So that's what I learned from swimming. And I want to give some of the friends out there who want to improve their speaking that you just have to say it. I still remember the first couple of videos I had here. It was a challenge I did for myself to improve my public speaking because I had a academic conference coming up. And I remembered how awkward I was when I was presenting topics in front of everybody and nobody watched and I didn't get anything over my videos. But I liked it because I didn't want attention and I wanted to be by myself. I wanted to just, do it and I watch it and I fix myself and I move on. As the tension grow more, to my channel, to my videos, I start to realize how I can shift that from pressure to or even from judgment to progress, to even like a motivation. I learn more that because somebody says something, I have to have the ability to distinguish from just negative comments from constructive comment. I have to tell them. It's another way to train your ability, that how you tell the difference between the good and the bad. So this swimming has taught me a lot, and then I'm more comfortable in swimming. And I remember how I gradually progressed. I first started in a shallow end. For many, many times I had my kickboard. I was just doing that. Sometimes I had my head out of water. Sometimes I bury my head in water to try different things. And I barely made it. And then second week, I started to try swim a little bit faster, but still in the shallow end, I wasn't really comfortable. And then gradually, I started to try without kickboarding shallow end, would I be able to do it? And until last week, I tried swimming into the deep end. I had to build the confidence in myself for like 2 minutes. I stood there and looked front. I'm sure the lifeguard was like, "What the heck is the woman doing there? Why are you standing in the water not swimming?" But I try so hard to tell myself that you can do it. If you cannot do it, what are the consequences? What are the steps I can save myself and come back? I thought about a lot of things. I practiced try it on water and practice how I could curl myself and stand up and those kind of things. I predict that what could happen and what could I done to save myself or save my face in that matter. And then finally, I swam to the other end. And I was so proud of myself in that moment. I don't care if you're a professional swimmer. I don't care if you're lifeguards. I don't care if anyone is watching me. I just don't care because I've accomplished that. Because of the accomplishment, I start to become more confident in my swimming and I wanted to do more. One baby step towards another success. And eventually, I was from my average speed was 17 minutes per 100 meter. And then second week, I was down to 7 minute per 100 meter. And to last week, I was down to 4 minute per 100 meter. So you see the progress, you want to do more, you get better. It's because you have to build a confidence in yourself and ability to be able to do it. You have to start with the baby steps. You can't just say that because she can do it, I want that result, I'm just going to go for a jump. You can't, right? When it comes to learning another language, especially when it comes to speaking or any skills, you have to start with the really basic to test out to your level. Where are you at now? Are you able to read a whole story or you can only understand a couple of sentences? Are you able to write sentences correctly with good grammar, structure, verb tenses, or you can only write out simple sentences with relatively okay grammar? You yourself have to do the work to test out where you're at now and decide which way you're going to go. And when it comes to speaking, same thing. You don't have to speak like a professional presenter or professional public speaker. There's no way if you don't practice, even if you have a good English. You just have to learn from how am I going to open my mouth and just simply describe an event happening yesterday using correct grammar. One step at a time, if you can only speak 3 sentences, then do 3 sentences. When you get them correct, when you look at yourself speaking, and you feel so happy about your achievement and you want to do more and add 3 more sentences, maybe with a little bit more complex grammar structures there. Go beyond that and gradually and build your way to success. The problem is nowadays we don't have a patience for that. We want a quick and instant result. We want this, I want to see that, I want to skip the whole process and then just simply get there so I can use it. But because our learning journey, how we grew up, we forgot how to take our time in. Because we use all our time to learn subjects in middle school, in high school, even in university. Now we start our job, our life. We don't have much time to take our time to practice certain things. Then we just want instant results. It is not easy unless you have the foundation for certain things you're learning right now. So the best way is to tell yourself to really know yourself, to start from there, to practice from there. Get someone, give you feedback, and then really listen to them, right? And you're adults or you're still young, just try to think independently, try to think critically. Just say, Is this going to help me? Why is this going to help me? Or this is not going to help me because you have to tell there's a constructive feedback and there's a judgmental feedback, and which one you're taking in. If you cannot tell the difference between those two, you might have to go back to the fundamentals to learn how to tell the difference between the good and the bad. And that's all I'm saying. And sometimes learning is a lonely journey that you got to know when to help you. And you just have to do it. But this is why it is good to have this channel, this platform to share your learning process and journey and the thoughts, whatever going on in my mind, that I can dump my thoughts in public and you can share your thoughts so you know we're not the only one. The most important thing when it comes to learning by yourself is knowing that you are not the only one. Once you know you're not the only one, you feel better, you resonate, and you move forward. It reminds me of being a parent for the first time that I couldn't handle my toddler, I couldn't handle my infant, and then in a very early stage. But then by looking at those memes or jokes or other things, I realized, oh, everything is normal. I'm not the only one. And as long as you have the thought, you don't have to compete with other people. You only focus on yourself and then you will do a better job. Anyway, so that's my random thoughts for this episode. I hope you like it and hope you can follow my map if I ever have one. But I'm happy I did it. And at least this is something. Okay, so I'll see you next time. Bye.